Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing the 10 May releases that I'm most excited about. May, for whatever reason, has a ton of amazing books coming out. There are 5 release dates in May, so I'm just going to break these down by release date. If you missed any of the previous months, I will have the playlist linked down below that has my most anticipated books for the year as well as the releases for each month. So if you would like to check out the releases from earlier this year, that will all be in the description box. But let's just get right into May 3rd. The first one is I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I have already read this one. I will link the vlog up above where I read this book, but this is Casey McQuiston's first YA contemporary story. In this, we are following 3 characters who all received a mysterious kiss from Shara Wheeler the day that she suddenly disappeared. The 3 of them come together to try and solve the riddles that she left them, to figure out why she kissed them, where she's hiding, and why all 3 of them are supposed to solve this mystery together. It is really fun. It is really sweet, funny. It has amazing romances in there. There's amazing messages in there. Casey McQuiston always kills it with her representation and themes and how she can tackle really, really heavy themes with a sense of hopefulness in it, and this book is no exception. The next book on May 3rd is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and this is possibly my most anticipated book for the entire year. This is Emily Henry's 3rd adult romance, and this one is pitched as a Hallmark movie if the heroine didn't choose a small town guy but instead chose the big town CEO and didn't change her ways. I am so excited for this book. I believe our heroine is in publishing and she decides to take a vacation with a friend or a sister, and her arch enemy, who is also a publisher, it happens to be vacationing in the same city. The 2 of them end up having a romance together, and I'm so excited. I love the way Emily Henry mixes like heavy components with rom-coms, and it's just, I'm so excited for this book. And then the last book on this day is actually Under One Roof by Ellie Hazelwood. This has already released on audio, but on May 3rd it will be releasing in Kindle format. I do not know if there is going to be like a physical paperback or anything like that, but I know for sure it is releasing on Kindle this day. This is the first book in Ellie Hazelwood's STEMinist series, and this follows 3 friends who are all engineers. And in this first one, we are following an environmental engineer who ends up moving in with a guy who works for Big Oil, and the 2 of them are living together reluctantly in this house that she was left by her mentor, and the 2 of them end up having an enemies to lovers romance. This is really cute, really swoony, really steamy. This has amazing ace representation in it, so absolutely loved this one. Highly recommend if you haven't checked it out on audio yet. On May 10th, there's only one release that I am really excited about, and that is Everything for You by Chloe Leese. This is book number 5 of the Bergman Brothers series, and this is following Oliver, who is a soccer player. He is one of the younger brothers, and in this, I believe it's going to be an enemies to lovers teammate romance. He is kind of like an up-and-coming soccer player at his university, and there's an all-star player who ends up joining the team, and I think the 2 of them butt heads. I think it's Grumpy Sunshine, which Chloe Leese always does so well, so I'm really excited for this one. I need to go back and read a book 3, but I definitely will be picking this one up as soon as it releases. On May 17th, we have Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. This is an author duo that I have really enjoyed. This is their latest rom-com, and I have not actually read the synopsis for this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the synopsis here. It says, growing up the daughter of a notorious treasure hunter, Lily was left without much patience for the profession or much money in the bank. But now she uses her father's coveted hand-drawn maps to guide tourists on fake treasure hunts throughout the Red Rock Canyons of Utah. It pays the bills, but it doesn't leave enough to fulfill her dream of buying back the beloved ranch her father sold many years ago. And it's definitely not enough to deal with the sight of a man she once loved walking back into her life with a motley crew of friends ready to hit the trails. Frankly, Lily would like to take him out into the wilderness and leave him there. Leo knew mirages were a thing in the desert, but they'd barely left civilization when the silhouette of his greatest regret comes back into focus in the flickering light of the campfire. Ready to leave the past behind him, Leo wants nothing more than to reconnect with his first and only love. Unfortunately, Lily is all business and drawing a clear line in the sand. It is never going to happen. But when the trip goes horribly and hilariously wrong, the group wonders if maybe the legend of hidden treasure wasn't just a gimmick after all. I am not the biggest survival fan, but this sounds really, really cute. I love a treasure hunting rom-com-esque story idea, and so I'm really excited to check this one out. After that is All Fired Up by Dylan Newton, and this is the follow-up to How Sweet It Is. These are not necessarily connected. We just met the heroine in All Fired Up in that first book, and in this she is helping her grandmother renovate her house, and the guy that is going to be helping was a one-night stand that she had, and the two of them decide that they are not going to rekindle their flame. But of course, they end up falling in love. I adore the way that Dylan Newton mixes rom-com elements with really sweet and swoony and steamy moments, and I really liked that first book, and I'm very excited to give this next one a try. The last book for this day is a sequel, and that is From Bad to Cursed by Alana Harper, and this is the follow-up to Payback's a Witch, and I am extremely excited for this one. I was mildly disappointed by Payback's a Witch, but only because it was marketed as a romance, and it ended up being more contemporary fiction. Now that my expectations are correct, I think I'm really going to love this one. This one is an opposites attract romance, and it says, Wildchild Isadora is a thrill chaser, adept demon summoner, and despite the whole sexy evil sorceress vibe, a cuddly animal lover. When she's not designing costumes and new storylines, she's nursing a secret, a conflicted dream of ditching her family's witchy business to becoming an indie fashion designer in her own right. But when someone starts sabotaging the celebrations leading up to this year's festival with dark, dangerous magic, a member of the rival Thorn family gets badly hurt. To clear her family's name, Isa agrees to serve as co-investigator, helping none other than Rowan Thorn get to the bottom of things. But as the unlikely duo follows a perplexing trail of clues, the two of them discover how little they really knew about each other and stumble upon a maddening attraction that becomes harder to ignore by the day. I love enemies to lovers. It's one of my favorite tropes. I really loved the small town in here. I loved all of the family dynamics, and I'm really excited to be back in this world. On May 24th, we have A Lady for the Duke by Alexis Hall. This is Alexis Hall's next historical romance. Actually, haven't read the synopsis for either. All I know is that it is a queer historical romance, so the synopsis says, when Viola was presumed dead at Waterloo, she took the opportunity to live at last as herself. But freedom does not come without a price, and Viola paid for hers with the loss of her wealth and title, and her closest companion, the Duke of Gracewood. Only when their families reconnect years after the war does Viola learn how deep that loss truly was. Shattered without her, Gracewood has retreated so far into grief that Viola barely recognizes her old friend and the lonely, brooding man he has become. As Viola strives to bring Gracewood back to himself, fresh desires give new names to old feelings. Feelings that would have been impossible once may still be impossible, but Viola can't deny them, even if they cost her everything all over again. I did attend a Forever event, and if I'm remembering correctly, this is a trans romance, and it's a second chance friends to lovers, and I am so excited for another historical romance from this author. Another sequel is A Cruel and Fated Light by Ashley Shuttleworth. This is the follow-up to A Dark and Hollow Star, which is a YA fae fantasy series. It is set in the real world, so it's an urban fantasy, and you are following a world in which everyone knows that paranormal beings exist, and the half fae are being mysteriously killed, and no one seems to be interested in solving the murders. So this group of unlikely heroes comes together, 4 teens come together and try to solve what is happening, and there's a lot more involved in it, but that is the base premise. There is some romance elements in here, there are some queer romances in here, there is tons of amazing representation The audiobook is a full cast, so I'm really excited to dive back into this world and see where the story goes. And then the last book on this list is on May 31st, and that is A Game of Retribution by Scarlett St. Clair, and this is book 2 in the, I think it's the Hades saga, if I'm remembering correctly, but essentially this is a companion series to the Hades and Persephone series. The Hades and Persephone series is told from Persephone's point of view, and the Hades saga is told from Hades' point of view. And so this is going to take place at the same time as A Touch of Ruin. I am really excited for this next one in the series. So that is all 10 books for May releases. Let me know if any of these are on your anticipated list. Let me know if I missed any books. Whenever I go to edit these videos, I always realize I missed something or something is announced later on that I wish I had added to this list. But let me know if there's any that you're aware of that you think I should add to my TBR, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye!